everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, which we've titled Maximizing LinkedIn Engagement with Exclaimer's New Integration. My name is James Wayne. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Exclaimer, and I'll be your host for today's session. To start with, we know that B2B businesses are putting time and money into creating content for LinkedIn. But are they actually getting eyes on that content? That we know is the hard part. Visibility on social media, it doesn't happen by chance anymore. That's why we're really excited today to introduce a smarter way to boost your LinkedIn reach. And we're going to be using emails that your teams are already sending every day to do that. So I'm delighted today to be joined by two fantastic colleagues that I'm going to introduce. Carly Papadopoulos, Senior Product Manager at Exclaimer, who's been leading the charge on developing our new integration, and Sally Bellis, who is our Social Media Manager, who's here to show how we're using this new feature ourselves and what's working best out there in the real world. So let's dive in together. And Sally, I'm going to come to you first. You've been spending a lot of time looking at what actually performs well on LinkedIn. What challenges would you say organizations face when it comes to reach and engagement?
So that's a really great question. So we're seeing brands invest more than ever in content and social campaigns, but despite this, many are still hitting a wall when it comes to visibility. The reality is, LinkedIn's algorithm, it strongly favors personal profiles over company pages. So even if your business has a huge following, only around 5 to 7% of those followers will actually see your posts. And, from a business, company pages, they often get lost in the feed. So unless they're getting, let's say, immediate engagement, and even then, their shelf life is pretty short. Another issue which I find at the moment is the sheer volume of content which is being published. Every brand at the minute is vying for attention, and it becomes harder to cut through the noise. So even if your content is really, really good, there's still no guarantee that it will land in front of the right eyes. And that's where getting creative with other places you can distribute your social content comes in. Which is what we were finding really works really well. So that's what we're going to show today, which is obviously using the email signatures.
Perfect. I want to return, if I might, something you've just mentioned there, that even with a larger follower count, you're only converting about 5 to 7% of that into impressions on your post. Therefore, do you think, in your opinion, it's more important to increase your follower count so you have a larger pool to convert from? Or is it actually about reaching people outside of your follower count organically and kind of just bringing more eyes that way? Or I suppose is it a mixture of the two?
I think there's a mixture of the two, but also I think what we have to remember is that having lots of followers doesn't mean lots of customers, doesn't mean lots of people who are actually really interested in your content. So using things such as your email signatures, you're already targeting basically the customers, the people who you want to communicate and stuff with. So for those people to convert into followers is actually more important than going out into the big social world and trying to get more followers. It's all about having the right followers. So having the people who are interested in your brand following you. So a smaller follower base is better if it's a more engaged follower base than, say, a larger follower base with lots of people who are just not interested in your content.
Yeah, very fair. It's almost about reaching a more targeted or selected audience with your social media content in that regard.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about performance metrics. What would you say, Sally, today are the kind of metrics and associated benchmarks that people should be mindful of, that teams should be striving to achieve? Should they be expecting to see a spike in clicks? Is it follower count or is it something else?
So I think it really depends on your industry. how
Mhm.
big your audience is, and really like how active your company is on LinkedIn. But genuinely, I would say the first signs of success usually come in the form of more clicks, impressions. Those early numbers tell you that your content is reaching more people and making them curious enough to engage. So then over time, you'll likely start to see more visits to your company page and a gradual uptick in followers. And I think the really cool part is that even small changes in how you distribute your content can make a big difference. So, for instance, at Exclaimer, back in 2024, when we were testing adding our LinkedIn posts to email signatures, we actually saw around 7,000 clicks to our social content just from that. And we're a team of about 250. So imagine if you have thousands of people seeing and clicking your posts, like from emails. Like it's not just about the volume. What makes it really valuable is like how targeted the traffic is. So our team is emailing the exact audience we want looking at our content, like customers, partners, prospects, people we either work with already or who we want to build stronger relationships with. So whilst social growth might not always feel dramatic day to day, it absolutely builds over time. So it is a bit more of a long game, but it is working for us and we're seeing that uptick.
Really nice. And I guess it all feels it's a part of a larger strategy, right? No one solution is going to change the world for you in that regard. Email signatures are definitely going to be one component to your social strategy of kind of increasing those metrics over time.
Yeah, definitely. I think what it is, as I said, it's just about another distribution channel, another way to get our social content in front of our audience, who we want to see it. And obviously, this strives completely from the main content strategy as well. When you look at a content strategy, for instance, when we're creating white papers, blogs, and all of these things, people on social don't want to leave social to go read some of
Mhm.
this stuff, right? They like to digest it all on the channel. It's served to them in videos, it's served to them in carousels. So it's all of our main content is served in these sort of short form ways. And I think that using this integration is a way to also like sort of really show off our content and the things that we're doing. And especially because it shows free posts, like that's amazing because it's not just showing one post, or we're not having to just be able to put a banner on with one piece of content. We can lead them to like lots of different pieces of content, so I think like that's really really valuable.
Excellent. So I think that's actually uh, set us up perfectly to now take a look at this new integration. And for that, Carly, do you mind if I turn over to you? Are you ready to reveal this amazing integration to the folks at home?
Cool. So yeah, first of all, I wanted to show actually what a social feed looks like within our email signatures. So here you can see exactly that. So at the bottom of the signature there, you can see the three posts that are pulling in from LinkedIn, and they're the most recent posts. Then what I can show you is actually how the integration is set up. Can you see Exclaimer?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to head to settings on the top right, then into integrations. I'm going to hit connect with LinkedIn. It's going to ask me to sign in. And then it's going to take a few seconds, and then you can see that I'm now connected to a dummy account. And then in terms of actually putting a social feed into a signature, I'm going to head into one that's already created here, but I'm going to go edit. And actually, they're already pulled in here, but I'm going to go down to the left-hand side and I'm going to pull in my LinkedIn feed. It's already done, but I can just pull it where I want to show it in the signature and then save my changes. And at that point, it's going to pull in the three most recent posts into that signature.
Amazing. And how frequently is that synchronization of posts occurring, Carly?
So we check or get posts every day. So although LinkedIn do caveat that with there being a slightly longer delay, although we've not actually witnessed that ourselves yet.
Nice. Now, of course, this is, I guess, our our first release of this feature, how did you and the team decide what to include and what not to include in this first release?
Yeah, so we wanted to find a way to sort of deliver the value the quickest, so we went for simplicity. So yeah, at the moment, as I've already mentioned, we just pull in the three most recent posts, but we are listening to what customers are saying, and something that's on our radar is maybe sort of changing the format of the posts, or maybe the number of posts you can see, and how you prioritize those, whether you might want to pick them. So those are the sorts of things that we have on our radar. But yeah, the first release was just sort of about getting the value out there and increasing the engagement across the signatures.
Nice. And if I might, what are we seeing in terms of email performance? Are there any load issues, delays, non-deliverability because of this feature that we're seeing within our customer base?
No, absolutely nothing has changed, and it's displaying well across all mail clients. So yeah, it's all good.
Nice. And what was it like, I suppose, to work with LinkedIn and their team, using their technology to put this all together? Has there been any problems there, or was it a pretty seamless process? And I suppose something I'm really curious about is how have we ensured that this functionality adheres to our strict standards on both security and reliability?
Yeah, I think so. I can take the last question first. So we have done rigorous amounts of testing before this gets close to even being live. So we absolutely know it's up there and aligned with how we generally test everything else. And then in terms of working with LinkedIn, it's been really smooth sailing. And of course, we're using sort of their official API. So we just know that it's tip top and everything is as safe and as secure as it could be.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming and giving us a preview of what it's like to use the functionality. I, for one, think it's incredibly simple to use. I'm a bit biased, of course, but I think the fact that you can get to that value in a couple of clicks is really amazing. Sally, I'm going to return, if I might, to you, and let's talk about how you mentioned earlier we've been testing this ourselves. Can you give a little bit more detail on how we've been using this functionality internally, and actually, if you can, provide some detail on what results we've seen?
Yeah, sure. So we've been really intentional with how we rolled it out. So when we started, we actually just started with our marketing and sales teams to start off with. So basically the groups who are having the most conversations externally. So
Right.
it made sense really to begin where there was already a high volume of email traffic. I think one standout example was a post that we did last year about our new HubSpot integration. We looked at the traffic breakdown on the post, and we actually saw that over 20% of the post clicks came directly from the email signatures, which is amazing. And what's been really helpful with that is through Exclaimer, we've been able to see which types of content actually resonate with our target audience, because obviously we're emailing the people who we want to do business with, or prospects or partners, customers. So, like what's really, really exciting there is we can see, okay, they're really interested in this post about the HubSpot integration. And I think also what we did learn as well is that people that are clicking in on the signature are also liking our people-focused posts as well. So on social, it's kind of not surprising that people engage most with people. It's social, right? But what it was interesting to see is that the behavior mirrored in email as well. So even there on the email signatures, people were more likely to click on the content that feels relatable and authentic. So they're still interested in our sort of people-focused posts, which is great because, you think email and social, there is a slight difference there in what you expect. But it just shows that, that's what people still want to interact with, even on an email signature.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, actually, because if you think about it, email can feel rather cold. And what we're trying to do, I guess, with email signatures a lot of the time is humanize that communication, like put a face to the name, make that person feel real. And actually, therefore, perhaps unsurprising that by adding more of that sort of personal content into the email signature through social is effective. Do you think it's perhaps interesting to the recipient in a different way to other content that you put in email signatures? I'm thinking like promotional banners and the like, where there's a very defined message. Do you think there's a different kind of opportunity on social to have different content displayed as a result of the integration now?
Yeah, so I think that, with the email signatures especially, and with social, social is kind of like your front door to your brand, right? It's a place where people can see, because like it goes beyond sort of colors, logos, and that kind of thing. It is a place also which is your people culture, what you represent as a brand. And I think like that's what putting these social feeds in the email signatures can also really represent. It's like it doesn't need to be like a big, it doesn't need to all be sort of graphics and, fine-tuned posts. It still can be quite human and authentic. And I think that people are still relating to that in the email signatures as well as what they do on social.
Yeah, that is actually a really fascinating point. I've never really given it thought, but there's a sort of an element of like showcasing your brand ideals and values in that moment. It's not just, again, that corporate face, as you said. I think that's a fascinating point. Look, I would love to actually drill deeper into that if we had the time. Perhaps we might return to it a little later. But for now, could you perhaps walk me through some of the practical use cases that customers might find relatable today, they could perhaps be thinking about as they move forwards with LinkedIn and hopefully this integration?
Yeah, definitely. So there's several practical high impact use cases which we've got here. So especially for teams that want to make sure that their content is reaching the right people. So not just chasing, say, for instance, the vanity metrics that you get on social. So the first is, as I said earlier, it's driving the right followers to your LinkedIn page. So as social media people, as digital marketers, we all want more followers, right? But what really matters is attracting the right audience and your ideal buyers, existing customers, potential partners. So using this integration, you're placing your content that you've already created with them in mind directly in front of the people who you want to see it. So that's like one of the biggest use cases, I think. And then the second is, again, sort of touching on what we just said, is, authentic brand storytelling. So again, as I said, like some of the top performing content on our LinkedIn page isn't the polished video, the perfect graphics. It's, LinkedIn takeovers written by our employees. It's posts about pets, it's relatable memes, it's stories like frustration stories about how you want to recall an email. It's the stuff which is real, because social is social, right? So this kind of content, it shows your brand personality, it's beyond the logos and colors, it's people and culture. And I think, like we just touched on, when the authenticity shows up in an email, it feels personal, it's trusted, and it's more likely, I would say, to drive these sort of passive viewers into engaged followers. So like that's, again, the second point. I think the third point is, the tracking the engagement. So like we can see through the email signatures, like how much engagement is coming from the email signatures to the social posts. And I think what it makes it really valuable as well is who's engaging. Like we're sending these emails out to not random traffic, it's to people who we want to see our posts, it's the customers, so I think that that's really important as well. And I guess finally, I would say that it's really just about boosting the organic reach. So LinkedIn's algorithm favors content that gets engagement from new audiences. So it's kind of like that domino effect of, say, for instance, I serve the post to my audience, and then my ex-colleague engages with it, and then LinkedIn shows it to their audience and so forth. So when your post is being engaged and clicked by more people, so not just the people that you normally have, but more people, it's more likely to be serviced to like a wider audience. So it's not really about just gaming the system. It's about making sure that your content like gets the visibility that it deserves.
Sally, I'd like to go to the comments that you made about metrics in just a moment. But actually, what I'd actually like to ask you first and foremost is, add Exclaimer's social media manager. Now that we've got this new channel that we can use to promote the activities that you do, what has that meant to you? Like, how much satisfaction have you got from us adopting this functionality ourselves?
Yeah, it's definitely, well, lots of satisfaction, to be fair. Like I said, it's always great to be able to show your content in more places and get more people engaged with it. So, we have here we have employee advocacy programs, and this is really like another, I would say, advocacy tool that you can use, which is included, well, it's with your email signatures, so it's even better. So it's already sort of included within your tech stack. So it's just another way really to be able to amplify your social content and get more engagement on your content and get your content seen. Because as we said, that 5 to 7% of your followers is low. So the more visibility you can get of your content, eventually the more people learn about your brand. It's really, really important.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I know, in fact, that you sometimes struggle to get that 250 employee count that we have really engaged with the activities that you put out there, like getting them to share posts and like things and increase the visibility. When the impetus is on them, it's quite difficult. This is almost like a cheat code, if you will, to leveraging the employees that we do have just by the work, the activity they're already doing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, this is just another form of employee advocacy, but they don't have to do anything. So it's even 10 times better.
Yeah. Look, the other thing I wanted to comment on, like this is just from me personally, I think it's really fascinating that it's almost taken some of the weight or work from me, and when I've had to in the past be really considerate of what email signatures we've got running and the banners that we've got and keeping them fresh. This is actually for me taking a lot of the pain away as well, because knowing that you've got this catalog, this calendar of social media activity that you've already got planned, and now our signatures are linked to that. Knowing that that's now automated means I don't have to do as much. I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you, because actually we're doing a lot less now with banners, knowing that we've got this new integration in place, and your content is arguably, and in many cases, much more effective than when we've been using banners in the past, because we've kind of just had to use any old message and see if it works. Now that we've got this integration, we can use the wonderful work that you are doing and then measure it and see what's working in the email signatures to really focus in on that. But yeah, let's now turn our attention back to that metrics, that tracking. Carly, what we didn't get a chance to show in our demo today was some of the analytics. That is, however, something that customers can track. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. And we actually have a designated social feeds analytics section, so you can see it there. And I've actually just been scraping some numbers, and I can tell you, we already knew this, but it's good to actually have some stats on it. So we know that signatures with social feeds in perform better than those without. And we can actually see that of all the clicks that happen in signatures, 65% of them come from our social feeds. Is a big number. And so yeah, it's just sort of the proof's in the pudding that it is actually helping drive people back to socials to have a look at what's happening on our social feeds.
Nice. Always love it when we've got the results to show that this can be really effective. Let's talk, Carly, about optimization. Do you think that there's any technical guidance you can give to our customers when setting this all up?
Yeah, what I would say is just don't cram too much into your signature. There's a lot that you can put in. So if you're a bit of a magpie, you could start kind of pull everything in and think, yeah, let's go for it. But try and keep it a little more balanced, and don't push those feeds too far down. You want them to be seen. I think those would be, yeah, the top tips. Don't make it too busy, yeah, and keep the feeds sort of closer to the top so they can get the engagement that they deserve.
Awesome. And Sally, we've touched on this across today's discussion, but in a condensed way, what would be, in your opinion, the content that our customers should focus on that performs the best?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, like I said earlier, what we're seeing the people focused posts, they're performing really, really well. Obviously, yeah, you have to look at this as an extension of your brand. So if you do use LinkedIn to sort of promote like sort of people, HR, culture, those kind of initiatives. Also, what you can use is, like we said before, not just having now to have the choice of like one banner to say your event, because on social you should be, promoting your events, you should be promoting your latest ebook, you should be promoting your latest blog. With that opportunity with the LinkedIn feed, you can have three separate pieces of content. So, it's going to pull in your last three posts. So, you don't have to choose anymore between that white paper or that event that you want to push, which is, really exciting, I think, for this.
Mhm. And so actually, how do you then align all of that content with the rest of your marketing strategy?
I think that's exactly it, though. That is what content is. Content is like an extension of your overall marketing strategy. So, how we work in social is we follow the overall campaigns. As I said, I turn like the great stuff that our content team is producing into sort of social friendly content. So, this would be things like carousels, short videos. It's making sure that people on social are digesting the content that they want to digest and the way that they want to digest it, rather than just sending links back to our website. A lot of people like to get the content on social. It still works still as the brand awareness point of view. So, like a lot of people want to go on there, they want to be entertained, they want to be educated. And that's the thing that we can deliver now through the email signatures as well.
And that we're very active on social media. Yeah, that's something we've built into. What if we're a customer, let's say, who only actually post once or twice a week? They're kind of at their beginning of their journey with LinkedIn, or perhaps it's just not a priority channel for them. Do you think this is still worth turning on?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, even if they do post just like once a week, it's going to pull through the last 3 weeks worth of posts. So, you know, that is still valuable. Like I said, it's another way, it's an extension of your brand. It's a way to show your content and what your brand's all about. So, yes, definitely.
Perfect. Okay, let's do let's do one last question, and I would like a response from both of you. I'm going to be greedy. Like a response from both of you, if I may. Uh, One thing you'd absolutely do and address before launching with this new integration. Let's go to you first, Ali.
So my advice would be to have a look at your social calendar, have a look at the posts that you're posting out, and make sure that they've got exactly what you want them to say. So, for
Mm.
instance, if you want to use your email signatures to promote an event, new piece of content, then make sure your last, 10 posts reflect the content that you want people to see and you want people to engage with. If you want them to see more about what your brand is about, then have those last three posts about your people, about initiatives, about events, like charity events and things like that you're doing. So just audit what you've got last on your social.
Almost, you said this earlier, and I really liked it. It's almost like trying to be as intentional with the content that you're posting in social as you possibly can be. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And then Carly?
Yeah, mine would just be to check and test how your social feeds look, and then specifically probably for mobile, as we know that lots of these emails are going to be viewed on mobile. So yeah, check, test would be me.
Fantastic. I think those are two very sensible things to do. Look, we've actually had a number of questions as we've been going, and I'd like to actually tackle some of those together if we may. So let's get started with, can the integration work alongside promo banners or regional messages? Anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, can take that. And the answer is, yep, it's completely up to you as to sort of how you have those feature either together alongside each other, or whether you choose to prioritize sort of one over the other. But yes, they can work alongside.
Perfect. I think this question is a really interesting one. It's a little different to how we've been talking about things. Sally, I think this one's for you. What kinds of content should marketers avoid featuring in their feeds?
So I think at the moment the tool, if I'm correct, Carly, it only pulls in posts which have an image or a video. So I think they don't currently like pull in celebration posts. So obviously, yeah, using the videos, using the images, that's the best thing that you should be using.
Excellent. So just avoid things that, are, if you don't want them to show up, don't include the video or image. If they're kind of more ad hoc things, they're not going to be pulled through.
Well, I think it's more like text posts, for instance. If you just do a text post without an image or a video, then they don't pull through. So
Yeah.
it's best that you have, images and videos, the stuff which people want to see on social. So
Nice. Excellent. Does this pull in private or scheduled posts?
Yeah, I can take that one. So no, it won't be pulling anything private, hopefully for obvious reasons. And then, of course, yes, we will pull in scheduled posts, but of course, when they are actually made public.
So it is literally the 3 latest posts when they are published. That's what we're looking at.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to take this one because it's very simple. Is this available to all Exclaimer customers? No, this is a feature that is provided on our Pro plan. And if you are interested in this feature and you're not on that Pro plan, you should feel free to reach out, contact us, and we'd be delighted to talk about your options. This is one of several features that we offer on our Pro plan, including the HubSpot integration that Sally mentioned earlier. Does this work in replies and forwards or only in new emails? Does anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that one as well. So it can work in all of the above. But again, it's sort of up to you as to how you configure that. If you only want it to show in the first email, we can do that too. So it is very much up to you to decide how you can configure those.
Excellent. And how should we align this with our wider campaign calendar? Can the feed be coordinated with other efforts such as outbound? Sally, you got that one?
yeah, I can take this. So I think it just touches back on to what we were saying earlier, that obviously your social should be sharing, it'd be aligned with your main content strategy, with your overall marketing strategy. So I think for definite, like what you can do is use your socials to promote your events, promote your latest content, promote like your latest white papers and offers, so that's how you can align it really to your overall campaign strategy.
Perfect. Cool. One last, and then we're done. How often does the LinkedIn feed refresh in email signatures? What's the typical delay from posting to appearing in the signature?
Yeah, so I think we touched on this earlier, but we will look for new posts every day. So once a day, to be clear. And LinkedIn, I think maybe just to be careful, put in a longer delay in case, but I think it's up to 48 hours, but we have not experienced that delay at all. So yeah, we're looking at, we will look for the post every day, but there could be a slight delay, though we haven't seen that yet.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone who submitted a question. That's actually really helpful. And I think all of those hopefully have added some value. It does, in fact, though, bring us to the end of today's conversation. I just want to say thank you so much, both of you, for coming along and sharing your expertise. I certainly learned a lot. I hope everyone at home did too. Thank you all for joining us. If you want to start using this LinkedIn integration today, you can find it under your integrations tab in the platform if you're on that pro plan. If not, please do reach out. As I said, we're delighted to have that discussion with you. We're also going to be sending out a recording of today's session and a number of follow-up resources for you too. Now, if you've got any more questions about anything you've heard today, please, our team is very much ready to help. But until next time, from me, thank you, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye from me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.